Picture this. You found the deepest spot in the pit, 30 feet of cold, clean water under your rod tips, and you're convinced the big girls are sitting right down there on the bottom. You fish it hard. 3 days, nothing, not a single bleep. Then the bloke tucked into the shallow margin 40 yards away, the one everybody walked past, lands his third fish before lunch. It's not his rig, it's not his bait, it's not luck. There is a wall in that water. You can't see it, your eyes will never find it, but the fish know exactly where it is. It's called the Thermocline. And today, on Beast Hooked, we're going to learn how to map it. Here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody told you when you bought your first bivvy. A deep gravel pit in summer is not one lake, it's three. Three completely separate worlds, stacked on top of each other, and only one of them has carp living in it. If you've ever stared at a featureless expanse of deep water and had no idea where to start, you are not alone. And you are not bad at this. You've just been fishing blind. Because when it comes to monster carp fishing on a big summer pit, the single most important feature isn't a gravel bar, it isn't a plateau, it isn't a snaggy island. It's a layer of water you have never once thought about. So let's pull back the surface and actually look underneath. When the sun beats down on a deep, clear pit for weeks on end, something strange happens. The water stops mixing. It separates into layers, and it does it because of one simple rule of physics. Warm water is lighter than cold water, so it floats. The top layer is the warm one, sun-soaked, full of oxygen, alive with insect life and movement. This is the comfortable lounge. Down at the very bottom, you've got the opposite. A deep, cold, still layer that the sun never reaches and the wind never stirs. In a deep pit, this bottom layer can be brutally short on oxygen. Sometimes there's almost none at all. And squeezed between those two, there's a razor-thin band where the temperature falls off a cliff. You can drop a thermometer through it and watch the reading crash several degrees in the space of a single foot. That band is the thermocline. It's the invisible wall. And it acts exactly like one, separating the living water above from the dead water below. Now here's the part that should make you sit up. A carp is a survival machine. It will not sit in water with no oxygen, no matter how much food you pile onto that cold, deep bottom. It physically can't. So when people say, "I'm fishing the deepest spot, that's where the big ones hide," in high summer, they are very often dropping their bait straight into the one part of the lake where a carp literally cannot breathe. So if the bottom is off limits, where are they? They're hanging right at the wall, right on the thermocline or just above it. Think about it from the fish's point of view. Just above that line, the water is still cool enough to be comfortable in the heat, but there's enough oxygen to actually function. And here's the bonus. Dying insects, falling food, anything heavier than the water sinks down and gets trapped on top of that dense, cold layer like crumbs on a shelf. The thermocline isn't just a barrier, it's a dinner table. This is the secret that separates the anglers who are serious about monster carp fishing from everyone still dredging the bottom. And the best ones figured it out years ago. They stopped obsessing over depth. They started obsessing over the layer. A fish suspended 15 feet down over 30 feet of water makes no sense, until you realize it's sitting on the wall, eating off the shelf, breathing easy. And it explains your margin mystery from the start of the film. The shallow margin doesn't stratify the same way. It's all one temperature, top to bottom, and the wind and the bankside cover keep it oxygenated. So while you're fishing a dead zone in the middle, the carp are cruising the living margins where the whole water column is fair game. It was never your rig, it was the water. Right. This is where it gets exciting, because finding the thermocline is genuinely one of the most powerful edges in carp fishing, and almost nobody does it. Method 1, the simplest, a thermometer and a length of marker line. You lower a thermometer that you can read at known depths, say every 2 feet, and you write the numbers down. For a long way, the temperature barely moves. Then, suddenly, in the space of a foot or two, it plunges. That sudden drop, that's your wall. Mark that depth. That is the most important number in the entire swim. Method 2, the modern shortcut, your fish finder. Crank the sensitivity up and look for a faint horizontal band suspended in the water column. A soft, fuzzy line stretching across the whole screen at the same depth. That's not a fault, that's not a glitch. That's the density change in the water itself bouncing the signal back. Your sounder is literally drawing the thermocline for you, and once you've seen it once, you'll see it everywhere. Method 3, the feel test. In the edge, drop a bare lead into a deep margin and let it sit. Then bring it back slowly with your hand on the line. On a hot day, you can sometimes feel the lead pass through into noticeably colder water. It's crude, but it's free and it works. Whichever method you use, the goal is one single number, the depth of the wall. Because once you know that, you stop guessing forever. This is the kind of edge that quietly separates serious monster carp fishing from getting lucky once a season, and now it's yours. So you found it. Let's say the wall sits at 16 feet. What now? You present your bait at the wall, not below it. If you've got a deep margin shelf or a bar that tops out right around that depth, that is prime real estate. You're putting bait exactly where the fish are already feeding. If your lake bed plunges well past the thermocline, then a bottom bait dumped at 30 feet is doing nothing but feeding the bloodworm. The carp will never come down for it. This is where a zig rig becomes a weapon rather than a gimmick. A zig lets you suspend a small bait at any depth you choose, completely independent of the bottom. You can set it to hang a foot or two above your 16-foot wall, right in the comfort zone, right where the cruising fish are looking. When people catch on zigs and call it luck, it almost never is. They found the layer, even if they don't know the science behind it. Anyone serious about monster carp fishing will tell you the same thing. A zig set to the right depth outfishes a perfect bottom rig in the wrong layer, every single time. And don't ignore the upper layer entirely either. Early morning, late evening, after a cool night or a good blow of wind, that's when the layers can shuffle and the fish push up high or slide into the margins. Stay flexible, the wall moves. Because here's the thing, this invisible wall is not permanent. As autumn arrives and the surface cools, those top layers get heavier, they start to sink, and eventually the whole lake mixes back together in one big event we call turnover. The wall collapses. Suddenly the carp have the entire water column back, oxygen everywhere, the deep bottom open for business again. Get your timing right around turnover, and a deep pit that frustrated you all summer can switch on like a light. Read the season, and you read the fish. So, the next time you stand on the bank of a big, deep, intimidating gravel pit and you don't know where to start, don't reach for the deepest spot on the map. Reach for the thermometer, find the wall, fish the layer. Because the carp were never hiding from you. They were just sitting somewhere your bait never reached. And now you know exactly where that is. If this changed how you look at a lake, hit subscribe. At Beast Hooked, we go deeper than the bottom. We go into the water that everyone else swims straight past. I'll see you on the bank.